All right. So today on NewbieVeT, got a special guest. We got a legend in the building. We got the legend, Brother Trav.
Peace.
How you doing, King?
Everything good,
man. How your day going, man? Or how your morning going?
Oh, so far so good, man.
So far so good, man. That's what's up, man. Brother Trav. So, man, give us a little rundown on the Brother Trav origin.
Oh man,
the name behind it.
The name behind it, man. That just come from an era in which this is what we called ourselves. You know, we referred to each other as, like, you would be Brother J.Paul, and then a sister would be Sister so and so.
Right.
You know, we just called ourselves that. As far as you know, in the 90s and maybe even prior to that, I was part of the conscious movement in town and stuff like that around some very prominent people in town, like, you know, Sister Sailor, Brother Ali, you know, and we always put that. You remember back in the day where our parents used to say, make sure you put a handle on their name.
Right.
Like, you couldn't never, if you were a kid and you talk to an adult, you just couldn't never call them by their first name.
Yeah, you gotta say Mr. or
Mr., Mrs., Auntie, Uncle so and so, you know, or either brother so and so or sister so and so.
You get in trouble if you get.
Yeah, you couldn't just be a young person calling an elder by their first name like that.
Right.
And so that's where that came from. It's just the Brother Trav thing kind of stuck, and it never really was an official moniker. The moniker came a little bit later with the Brother Trav, the Godbrother. Now that's an interesting story because that came a little bit later.
Okay.
And not sure if you know Nora Gordon from Pyramid Music. Flash Gordon.
Yeah, that was the owner of the building, wasn't it?
Right.
Yeah.
His daughter is Nora.
Yeah, she's a DJ too.
She's a DJ.
Yeah.
That's right. So hanging out in Pyramid Music, and she kind of was just talking to me, and she was like, you the godfather of poetry and spoken word around here. And I was like, yeah, but Augusta can only have one godfather. And then she was like, you right. Well, you the God brother. I said, I'm running with that. Can I have that, Nora? She said, take it. I said, Brother Trav, the God brother.
Man,
let's
I
go.
like that, man.
And that's how it came about.
That's dope. So, been writing and performing for over 20-something years, 25 years. So, a long time.
A long time, man. A long time.
So like, tell me how the humble beginnings, what got you into the writing process.
Okay, yeah. This is actually an interesting story because I consider myself a late bloomer when it comes to spoken word and writing poetry. And I only say that, even though I've been doing it a long time,
right?
But I only say that because I know a lot of young writers that, you know, they started doing it as teenagers and whatnot. I actually didn't write my first official poem or spoken word piece until I was about 27 years old. And so this is how it happened. And it goes to show there's a lesson in here. There was a time in which my professional career took me to Savannah, Georgia, and then from Savannah, Georgia to Northern Virginia, right outside of D.C. in the DMV. So this is in the mid-90s. So I'm working on my professional career. On the way up, I felt great about it, you know, and you know, I'm ascending, as they say,
right,
professional-wise, and all of a sudden, just to kind of like to make a long story short, I was terminated. I feel unjustly, without warning, or, you know, didn't see
just
it.
Let go.
Yeah, just we don't need you no more. We in the state of Virginia, which is an at-will state, so we don't even owe you an explanation or a reason why. So they just let me go. One day I didn't have a job, you know, and here I am 700 miles away from home with a $1,200 rent. And in the 90s now, $1,200 rent.
$1,200 is a lot of money in the 90s.
A lot of money in the 90s, yeah.
A lot of money.
And, you know, and I didn't know where to go. You know, I was just frustrated. And so, you know, as a person, I would normally carry a backpack, catch the train from, you know, my house to the job and stuff like that. And so, I mean, I got let go first thing in the morning, right?
The very beginning of it.
Yeah, as soon as I got into work, they took me to the office and let me go. So I didn't want to go home. I just got on the train and I just started riding the train back and forth and back and forth. And I was so furious on the inside, I could have just punched a stranger. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if you ever felt like that.
Oh, yeah.
But I had so much bottled up energy. But what I did have with me in my backpack was a notebook and a pen. And so as I'm riding the train, I just start putting my thoughts on paper. Everything that was inside of me was just spilling out. And, you know, it began to form rhymes. I'm a hip hopper, right? And it began to kind of rhyme the sentences together and stuff like that. And I didn't really think anything of it, but then I kind of later read it to someone else. And it was like, you know what? You got something right there. Okay. Right. So I continued to write from that point. And at that point, I still wasn't like thinking about performing on stages or anything like that.
Right.
I wasn't trying to be a spoken word artist, but it was a great way for me to get my thoughts out and frustrations out or feelings out and things like this. And then a little bit later, I began to use the old school method of, I had one tape recorder over here.
And the other one over there, the record, the two boxes.
The two boxes together, exactly. And then I began to read my poetry and put like instrumentals in the background and stuff like that. And it was something.
Days.
Yeah, and then ended up moving back home because, you know, I had to go, right? So moving back home to Augusta and connected with one of my homeboys that I known for a very long time, and he was doing production. He was a producer and everything, and we got together and started
working
doing
on
stuff
it
in the studio, and then I joined up with a group of artists here at Studio Art Grove. The sisters, Mrs. Barbara Franklin.
Okay.
We call them the Franklins, Alvin and Barbara Franklin. They ran this art studio and basically began to nourish my talent and my skill as a writer with those guys, and that was a blessing. And so then a little bit later, the live shows started happening, and it was just the rest is history.
It's amazing how it started as far as do you think that if a lot of people had other outlets, like far as people that let their frustrations get the best of them to the point where they go out there and do something crazy because they don't have an outlet, like some people are not writers, or not poets or artists, or don't have a creative outlet so they can get frustrations out. Do you feel like, is that one reason why there's a lot of trouble in the youth these days now, or just trouble in society?
Yeah, because I mean, we just have to have when I started writing, I wasn't a writer.
Right.
I wasn't a writer.
Right.
But I think we just have to figure out like constructive ways to express ourselves, really. Because that's what it's all about, is really like that self-expression. Because what's bottled up in you, it's got to come out. It's like a volcano.
Right.
It's boiling on the inside of you. You got all these different emotions, rage, and then that's dangerous.
Right.
You couple rage with hopelessness and things like that. That's a dangerous person. That is a dangerous person. I feel like that's where a lot of our youth are right now, is not only are they angry, but they also have this kind of hopeless feeling. And when you're hopeless, you don't worry about the repercussions.
Right. That's facts. And I also piggyback off that, I feel like is that way of thinking, plus they're not willing to sit back and wait on things. Like, how we was raised, where you don't have it now, you work for it. You have to work and go out there and get it. You can't get everything that you want these days. Like, like my daughter, for an example, she was like, Dad, I want a car. I said, okay. I said, well, you can get this car over here It's cash price. You know, you ain't got to make no payments. Only thing you have to worry about is insurance and the maintenance on the car.
Mm-hmm.
No, Daddy, I want a 2025. I want something stylish. I want to look good. But can you afford it, Mama? You know what I'm saying? And it's like, I want what I want, Daddy. Okay, well, you get that. But now you're struggling with that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's that patient. I feel like they don't have the patience for things no more. They want things. They want everything to look good fast.
Mm-hmm.
They want their pockets to grow fast.
Yeah.
They just want everything to come fast.
Right. Yeah. It's the microwave generation.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I come from an era in which after school we would get out of school, come home for an after school snack, and take out the chicken pot pies out the freezer. And them things took 35 minutes or 45 minutes in the oven. Versus you had to preheat the oven to 400. You know what I'm saying?
Especially depending how frozen it was.
Probably 10 minutes right there just to preheat the oven.
Right.
And then put a couple of pot pies in there, man, and that thing would take 35, 40 minutes. And you had to wait. But now them same pot pies, 3 minutes, 2.5 minutes.
That's crazy.
Think about it.
Faster.
It's the same pot pie.
The same pot pie. They just now they faster cooking.
It's just there's no waiting. There's no waiting. You know, even just heating up your leftovers. I mean, I just turned 55, so I remember pre-microwave. I remember having to heat up leftovers, and you basically had to put them back on the stove and cook it again, right? I mean, maybe we were healthier because of that.
Yeah. Because the microwave, it has all those bad rays and stuff in it. They said it's real bad. That's why they tell us not to eat noodles. Like the little ramen noodles and stuff. A lot of people microwave stuff.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah, those things are not healthy.
Yeah, you're not healthy at all.
Yeah, those things are not healthy. But yeah, you make a good point. But nobody is willing to wait. We want it all right now.
Yeah.
And I've dealt with younger artists over the years. I've talked to 21-year-old artists who were frustrated because they felt like they were done. Like they felt like
at 21.
At 21, because it didn't happen. They started doing rapping or whatever when they was 17, and now here I am 5 years later, and I ain't made no hit or I ain't got no traction or whatever. So they feel like
it's over with.
And there's the frustration.
It's just I think it's because of society too, far as our black community, because it's only the black people that do it. We put a time limit on things, or we put an age limit on things. They feel like if you the age over 30, you can't do rap no more. Like, which is crazy. Can't do music no more. Find another hobby. And I'm like, you got gospel singers, you got opera singers that be in their 60s, 70s. You got pop singers, rock and roll artists, country singers can sell out arenas now in their 50s, 60s, and 70s.
Right. You see Patti LaBelle, Stephanie Mills, and Shaka Khan, they on tour.
They on tour.
3 queens right there. I think they all over.
They everywhere. They up there.
Yeah. I think all 3 of them are over 70 years old right now.
Right.
So yeah, there's no time limit.
There's no time limit
art.
On it. Right. But it's always that warfare when it comes to the age warfare. I feel like the what they call it now, the YNs and the older heads. Like I said, it's us. We put a time limit and age on things. I feel like, and unnecessary.
Yeah, unnecessarily. You're right. And hip hop is so new that now is our first generation of old heads, so to speak.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like now, finally, you got your older artists like LL and stuff like that.
All of them coming back.
Yeah, and they all coming back.
Yeah, everybody dropping music. Yeah, that's good.
Because the skill don't go away.
Nah. Nope. That's true. So, man, founder, CEO, Uprise Entertainment and Events, man. So, how did that get established?
Okay. All right. Great question. So, still kind of like piggybacking and riding off of the wave in which, I was going at a little earlier about when I started writing.
You came back here.
Right. When I came back to Augusta. So, there was not, at this time, so it's 97, 98.
Okay.
Maybe even late 90s going into 2000, and there wasn't really your neo soul type of spoken word type of venue. That wasn't happening.
Right.
It wasn't happening in town, although I learned to enjoy that and have an appreciation of that by living in Savannah and then by living in Northern Virginia.
They got different
that was kind of
types
like
of,
the different vibes and stuff like that. So this was not happening. There's a brother Shama.
Oh, Brother Shama, I'm a dude.
Rebel Lion Den.
Rebel Lion, I'm a dude.
Rebel Lion Den.
That's my guy.
Exactly. So I've known Brother Shama since we were teenagers. Right. Since we were high schoolers. We didn't go to the same high school, but we were associated.
Right.
And so used to hang out down there because we used to just go down to Rebel Line and just build, you know, kind of like have building sessions and stuff like that.
Right.
And Brother Shama was like, you know what, maybe we could do like a little open mic poetry thing here. Well, his store all narrow like this.
Yeah,
you know what I'm
was
saying?
straight, yeah.
It was like straight like this. And I was like, in here, it's not much space. He said, man, we could just put the racks to one side. And then if you could get some folding chairs, so I ended up going to the church where I was a member of and gathered about 20 folding chairs and brought them folding chairs and lined them up all the way from the back to the front.
To the front.
And this is like pre-internet, social media. So this is a time in which, in order to get the word out, you got to like print out
flyers and
right. And this is before the fancy club flyer too. Now
this is actually the cards, and so you got to get the paper flyers.
Yeah, this is 8.5 by 11 copy paper, and just made a whole bunch of black and white copies, clip art on it with a microphone. You know what I'm saying? And we put these things all around town. We put them around town. Walked around hand to hand. Hey, this is getting ready to go down on this particular day at this particular time. And I wanted it to be real natural. I wanted it to be real earthy. The aesthetics of his shop helped a lot. Wearing dashikis and stuff like that. We had some drummers up in there, and it was real simple. We served some waters and fruits and things like that. And the very first one, it was standing room only, King. I'm talking about every seat was full. People was lined up around the walls. He had to open the door. People was on the sidewalk on Broad Street. We had to put a speaker out there so people could hear what was happening. And that was the first one. And that was when I realized there's a need for this.
Right.
They want to do this. They want to do this. And so then I just started putting together shows from there, putting together events. And so, and it was never about me as an artist.
Right.
It became about me creating opportunities for others. And then it just started kind of going up. And from there, I ended up doing grand openings. I opened the Orange Moon, which now is called Sultry Sounds.
Sultry Sounds, right.
Right. I did Sultry Sounds grand opening. Cafe 209, they used to have a spot on the river. It was 209 on the river at that time. I did their grand opening. So people would, around town, they opening their establishments and stuff like that. And they're just like, I like what you got going on. I want you to come in and do that. And Thursdays kind of always seemed like that day for poetry because it wasn't Friday, Saturday, it wasn't the weekend where it kind of turned up.
Right.
So Thursday evenings always kind of was my night. And since then, there's not many venues that I haven't touched.
Right.
With what I have going on. And as far as Uprise, the name is funny. The name used to be called Uprising.
Uprising.
Uprising, right. And that came from Bob Marley's album called Uprising.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Classic.
And I eventually had to change the name to Uprise Events and Entertainment because Uprising was already taken and it was already patented. So I had to change the name.
Okay. That was up, man. That was up. I think the first time I met you, DJ Sellis, shout out Sellis.
Yeah.
Sellis invited me to Oak.
Okay.
And you was doing one of your events, your poetry events there that night.
On a Thursday.
On the Thursday. Yeah, it was thick too. There's a lot of people in there. You had vendors in there and everything.
Oh yeah.
I remember that night.
That was great.
That was a good night.
And it was a good little stint while it lasted. And you know, like I said, there's not too many venues that I haven't been at around town, and I'm appreciative of that. I'm appreciative of everybody who I've had a chance to work with, network with, meet, help, be helped.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It just I'm appreciative of it all. Right now, at age 55, looking in the rear view mirror, I can kind of look and see I had a pretty good career.
Right. So, as far as you being into a lot of the establishments down here in Augusta, do you feel like Augusta needs to open up some more properties for more Black entrepreneurs, just entrepreneurs in general, to open up businesses and start, you know, because there's a lot of people with businesses down here, and there's a lot of talented people that want to start stuff, but it's not that much properties around here. Now, like from back, you know, the 90s, I don't know really much because I wasn't down here in the 90s. So there probably was more open properties, but now it's like less. Because like most properties are being bought by people. You can't really get in contact with the people that own these properties and stuff like that.
Or you can't afford it.
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 Now,
Facts.
if you're going to try to like open up a building on Broad Street or something like that, you can't afford those spaces. You know, it used to be a time where you could go down there and rent out a building on Broad Street for $700 a month. You can make that happen.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. That's easy.
A couple of brothers would get together and say, all right, man, you got $350 a month. I got $350 a month. Let's
make it work.
Right. And now that's in the past. So you're not shelling out $3,000-$4,000.
That's true. That is so true. I know the my last studio I had, I was paying $2,500 a month, and that was on Broad, but it was right in front of the Croc Center. It wasn't on the good side of Broad either. So you know, it was right in front of the Croc Center. So, but it was $2,500 a month.
Right.
And I'm like, that's too much for this area.
Yes.
And there's a lot of crime infested. A lot of police, ambulance, left and right, and I just feel like that much money needs to be in a more secure, more quiet, more nicer spot. If you're going to spend $2,500-$3,000 a month on a rent and stuff like that.
Right.
But also,
to kind of like continue on to answer your question, I don't know if there's a lack of spaces, but maybe what I would like to see, and maybe these things do exist, but it's not really where people go. I would like to see like more like mini malls, like almost what in another area they would call a swap meet.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like you know, an area where it's just like a bigger building. I mean, they do this over on North Leg over there by Oak.
They do it by Oak.
But over there by Oak.
The Augusta, it's called Augusta Flea Market, indoor flea market.
Yeah.
Indoor flea market.
Yeah, flea markets and things like that. I just think the popularity, the word kind of needs to it's the exposure with anything, because things are happening.
Yeah.
You know, it's just, do people know? You know what I'm saying? Like before you know it, the doors will be closing because they're not getting a lot of traffic over there. And why?
Right.
Because of the lack of exposure.
Yeah. And it's that, and I also think, like, you're going back to what you're saying, people like what they like, and I feel like this generation now, as far as from what do you see change from when you first started back then to now? Like, what are some changes you see as far as in that market?
The internet.
Yeah.
The internet and the ability to shop from home.
Right.
Think about it.
Right.
Like, that's a big difference. If I wanted this right here, if I wanted one of these pieces right here, you know, I would have to go to a shop. I would have to find some place
shop and do it right.
Somebody sells these things. I would have to go and patronize a local, more than likely a local business for it.
Right.
But now I could just go like Google
and look online.
Amazon, you know what I'm saying? Boom, boom, boom. Next thing you know, 3 days later, it's at my door. So I think the ability to, and the really is convenience for us as consumers,
Right.
but for a local business owner, it's taking money out of their pockets.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you don't have to go out to shop anymore. I mean, even just think about the stores in the mall. I started out in retail. Retail was where I started and working in retail. Champ Sports, Foot Lockers, and things like that. There was one time I'm running a Foot Locker, a Champ store, and I had 30 employees under me, full-time and part-time. And I've gone into these places and they might have 6 people on the schedule. That's it.
That's it.
That's it, because the demand is not there. Because if I want these shoes, chances are I'm not going to go in the mall to get the shoes. I'm just going to go there. Boom, 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 boom.
Right.
Yeah, my front door. We got a package, Mr. Right. You know what I'm saying?
That's true.
Yeah, so
that's
I
true.
think that's made a big difference in what's happening.
Huge difference too, and it really took off right during the pandemic. Like as soon as I had this, like everybody, because they already been working on these things, but I just think perfect time is when the pandemic hit for all these new businesses to open. Because as soon as the pandemic hit, now you got Uber Eats, Uber this, Uber that. You got so much different things. You can Walmart shop from online.
Yeah.
Like
start pushing the social distancing.
And created new businesses during that time.
Social distancing. What social distancing basically is, we can't get together. I can't be so close to you.
Right.
Or so many people can only be in one building at one time.
Right.
Social distancing. And I don't think that's really in our human nature, is to be distant from each other.
Right.
Socially.
Right. right. Facts. So, man, 2012, man, you was elected CSRA First Poet.
First Poet Laureate.
So, laureate. So, how was that? How was that feeling for you?
It was great. So that's a story in itself. Everything has a little story around it. There's this group, Augusta Arts Alliance.
Okay.
Augusta Arts Alliance. Okay. And had different chapters, and they would basically do plays, do things that you do. We would do plays, and spoken word was part of it.
Are they still around?
Even visual, no. Okay. They're not around now.
Okay.
So it's kind of like faded away. The people who ran it kind of moved out to Atlanta and started doing more. But yeah, there was a board, and the board came together and said, okay, we're going to have what they call a poet laureate, and then also what they call an artist in residence, who's basically a painter, and they elected me as the poet laureate, and Sister Sailor, who used to run Ambassa Gift Shop.
Okay.
Sister Sailor, she was the first artist in residence, and it was a pretty big deal. We had a big opening ceremony where we were kind of featured and put out in front of the people and everything, and it opened up a lot of opportunities for me to be that poet laureate, because now I was able to get do some freelance writing, get things published in different papers. Whenever there's like an opportunity on a grander scale, I would get the call to come perform or speak or things like that. So yeah, I'm much appreciative of it.
Man, that's dope, man. Yeah, I'm just going over everything. The African American Heritage Award. Man, that's what's up, man. By the Augusta Area Cultural Society. That was in 2009.
Yeah, there's a lot there.
They say, yeah, man, Motivator of the Year in 2013. Keynote speaker at Payne College, Harlem Renaissance Festival in 2009. I know that was a dope experience right there, talking to the youth and stuff.
Yeah, and not only talking to, they're not all college students that would be there, because the city would come out for these Harlem Renaissance presentations and stuff like that. So yeah, that was always a good experience.
Man, that was up, man. That was up. So it say you suffered an aortic dissection in 2013.
Yeah, there
So
we
what
go.
happened with that?
So let's talk about it. It's pronounced aortic aortic dissection.
They always have the most complicated names for medical.
Yeah, right. and most people do not really know what that is.
I really don't know what that is.
Most people don't, right?
Okay.
Because it's not that common, but it's more common than you would think. So what the aortic dissection is essentially, it's when your aorta, which is the main artery that comes from your heart, the big artery that comes from your heart.
Vein.
And, you got the big aorta, and then this is where all your blood goes to all the different veins and things like this throughout your body.
Gotcha.
So it's the main artery that comes from the heart. So essentially, due to untreated high blood pressure, I love opportunities to be able to talk to people about this. I have a feeling this is one of the reasons God left me here. Because of untreated high blood pressure, the walls of my aorta began to stretch and get hard and then separate. So essentially, I'm starting to bleed out internally.
Internally bleeding.
I'm internally bleeding out, and I lost blood flow to the left leg altogether. So that was really like the first thing that happened. I'm at home, and
I was just about to ask you, like, how you figured, like, what happened? Like,
yeah. So there's a story that goes with it. I'm at home. Actually, this was on a Sunday. My wife and I were in our first 7 months of marriage. We had a little apartment and everything. We had went to worship service on that particular Sunday and came home, and I'm eating a little after church snack and stuff like this. I'm at the table, and I began to feel some discomfort here. And it kind of just felt, to me, it felt like maybe I wasn't chewing up the food well enough. So I forced myself to go to the bathroom and regurgitate, which I did. And then I kind of like came back to the table. But then it kind of still felt like something was lodged up in here or something. It just, it didn't really feel right. And so then I kind of didn't say anything to my wife, who was sitting right there. And I went to the bedroom, and I laid down and turned the ceiling fan on, because now I'm beginning to
sweat,
get real hot. Right, I'm profusely sweating. I'm sweating enough to where I could just like wipe my brow and fling sweat like this.
God.
So now eventually I'm peeling off clothes. I'm in my boxers, laying across the bed with the fan on, and starting to feel a little bit dizzy and going, okay. I still hadn't said anything to my wife. I'm going, okay, this will pass, whatever is happening. And so eventually I sat up on the side of the bed, and we had a higher bed where my feet would dangle
a bit, yeah,
if I sat on the side of the bed. So I'm sitting there, and then I go to try to get up and stand off it, and the left leg just buckles, and I tumble onto the floor, and I got no movement in this left leg. I can't twinkle my toes. I can't bend it. I'm pinching my own leg, and I'm not feeling, there's no sensation there.
Nothing.
It's just like a dead limb. And now I began to holler. Yeah. Fortunately, my wife was home, because here I am on the floor. So she comes in and she's like, "Why you on the floor? Where your clothes at?" She asking me a bunch of questions. I'm just like, "Call 911, call 911. And then she like, "Okay, get up." I'm like, "I can't get up. My leg, I can't move my leg," or whatever. You know what I'm saying? So now there's a little panicky situation going on. And so eventually the ambulance comes, and they get me out of there, because now we in an apartment that's up some narrow stairs and everything. So it took a lot to even get me out of there. So to get me out of there, and then the ambulance takes me down to MCG. They run tests, do CAT scans, X-rays, all this stuff. They trying to figure out what's wrong with me. And this is a part of the story that's really, really emotional for me to revisit every time. So hours are passing as I'm sitting here in the ER room. And so finally, the nurse that was on duty, she comes in, and she's a white woman. I don't know if that matters, but I always like to still paint the picture vividly.
Right.
Middle-aged white woman, and she comes in and she grabs my hand. She's the nurse that's on duty. So she grabs both of my hands and she's sitting in front of me like I'm in front of you, and direct eye contact, and she says, "Do you believe in God?" And I said, "Yes." And then she said, "Okay, we about to pray." And this lady started praying to the high heavens out loud. I mean, she was going in like, well, now I'm beginning to get even more worried.
Yeah. Like,
you know what I'm
and start
saying?
praying for me?
Because here we are in a medical establishment, and this lady praying to God with me. And once she got done with the prayer, she said, "Okay, so I need you to have faith, all the faith that you could ever muster up. I need you to have that faith right now." She said, "Here's what's getting ready to happen: is we're getting ready to put you on a helicopter and airlift you from here to Emory Medical in Atlanta." And that's what's getting ready to happen. So I'm like, okay, can I go get my clothes and pack, or how long I'm gonna be there? You know, I'm asking questions and stuff like that. She's like, "No, you ain't gonna need no clothes where you going, and you ain't got no time to pack." Okay. She said, "Yeah, we're getting ready to put you on the helicopter now." So I began, again, like I said, now I'm even more worried. I said, so
anything on a helicopter makes me worried.
Yeah, if you're being airlifted, we got hospitals here in Augusta.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
Why
are you airlifting me here? And then I'm going, okay. And then I said, they're going to fly me to Atlanta to save my leg? And then she said, "No, they're going to fly you to Atlanta to save your life." Keep in mind, this was a Sunday. My next coherent memory is me waking up in intensive care with all stitched up, bandaged up tubes and everything everywhere. And I'm sitting there and the TV's on in the room. And I look up at the screen and I see the Masters golf tournament is on.
That's the first thing you saw you waking up, the Masters.
The Masters golf tournament was on. And then the pastor from the church is sitting there in the room with me. And I see Tiger Woods on the screen. And so I go, when he started putting the practice rounds on TV, and then he goes, "This ain't the practice rounds, this is the real deal." I said, "Well, ain't it Monday?" He said, "No, man, it's Thursday. You just waking up."
So you've been out. Oh, man, that's scary.
Right. So I missed 4 days.
And you don't even recollect or nothing.
So in that 4-day period, I had essentially three surgical procedures. So I had my chest, my ribs, cracked open like this. My aorta rebuilt. It was an 8.5 hour surgery. So I have stents still going down, holding the aorta together. And then there was a whole separate surgery, a whole nother surgeon that came in and performed what we call a femoral bypass, essentially, which is they were able to run the blood and build a vein. They intercepted a vein that comes from this right leg and built a bypass called a femoral bypass. They built a bypass that goes right across the top of my groin here and connected to run the blood over to the left leg where I had lost the blood flow. So they were able to get blood.
So they made a bypass. That's cause basically our body is like traffic anyway, like with a bunch of intersections and lane with the parts of veins.
Yeah,
so
the vascular.
Yeah.
What they call the veins, they call it
vascular,
vascular. And it was a vascular surgeon that performed this, and they were able to get the blood flowing into the left leg. Essentially, the blood kind of started flowing so big and so fast and everything that my leg started to swell up so fast that they had to cut incisions on both sides of the legs to alleviate the pressure. These are called I can't remember right now, but can't remember exactly what it's called. But I ended up with 2 huge wounds. I was in the hospital for 22 days and came home, and I was out of work for half a year.
Yeah, I say, how long you was down out of work?
Yeah, I was down. I was out of work for a long time. I started out, still having to have in-home nurses come to me, and I'm having wound changes. I'm having to go to a clinic where I'm doing what they call blood thinners, Coumadin. They call it Coumadin. So I'm having to go through all this stuff. I mean, it was a lot, and it was painful because I had to have wound care, and I got these really deep wounds in my leg that go all the way down to the bone. So just the whole process of them healing up. I went from using a walker to walk around to a cane to me now moving around. So yeah, God.
Man, that was a tough story, bro. You went through something, bro. Like,
yeah.
Glad you
scary,
yeah, glad you're here.
Yes, give thanks.
For real, man.
Give thanks to the Most High.
I feel like I've never been through that much pain like that. I can only imagine, man. Like that's tough, man.
Yeah,
that's tough.
It's tough. And I'm a survivor. You know what I'm saying? I'm known as an aortic dissection survivor, which many people don't survive. It's not something that has a very high survival rate, because what's happening is you're bleeding out internally. So really it's kind of like a race against time,
right.
Because you're essentially you're going to bleed out.
Right.
Now, fast forward this story. So one time I ended up going back. My wound got infected or something like that. So I'm back to the hospital, the local to MCG, and I'm back there again. And we're sitting in the lobby in the waiting room, and my wife spots the nurse who did the prayer. She spots that nurse leaving the hospital, through the glass pane, the window pane. Right. So she's like, there's that nurse that prayed for you. I need to go out there and let her know that you're here and that you survived and everything. So my wife took off and ran behind the lady and everything. And I could see the 2 of them out there talking and whatnot. And then the next thing you know, they both came in, and the lady came in and she said, "It's amazing that I'm laying eyes on you." And she said, "There's something I need to tell you, and I can lose my job for this." She said, when you were in here, the head doctor that was on duty had given me orders to have your direct family sign a DNR, which is do not resuscitate, and to give you some pills to comfort you during your transition. I say, my transition? She said, yeah, because if you would have just laid there long enough, you would have passed. You would have transitioned. And he gave me direct orders to give you something to comfort you during that transition. And she said, I could just see life in your eyes. And she said, we just gonna let him die? And the doctor said, well, there's nothing we can do. We can't save his life. And then she said, I'm sure somebody can save his life. Well, I didn't even have any health insurance at the time. I didn't even have any health insurance at the time. And she said, I went right behind his back and I disobeyed my doctor's orders. And she said, I got the helicopter. She said, I called Emory and I made that happen because the doctor gave me orders to let you pass.
Man.
We at MCG.
Yeah. Man, that's whoa, man.
Yeah, and if you think about it, how often does this happen?
That's what I was just about to get to. Like, if this is your case, how many other cases been through this?
Our organs are valuable,
Very.
Especially at a place like MCG, in which you have students that are learning, and
right.
It was a lot. But I didn't have any words at that point. And all three of us started crying. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, man.
All three of us started crying. It was
Because
just,
you
it was
could have
just a
lost your
movie.
life on a decision by somebody else's decision making.
One person.
One person.
One person.
That's crazy, man. That's
One person.
make you think. Like, it make you like. It got me over here, like, you know what I'm saying? It makes you think, like, one person can got their life in your hand by just saying one word or saying whatever they want to say, and just, yeah, man.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you keep in contact with the lady to this day?
Well, at one point I was kind of keeping in contact with her, and then I even ran into her somewhere else, and the last time I talked to her, I think she was so frustrated with the position that she was having to play that she was thinking about leaving the profession altogether.
Oh.
She was like, it's just so much politics and stuff behind the nursing. She said, I just want to help people.
Yeah.
And there's so much other stuff. She said, I don't even think I want to do it no more.
I think politics be damaging a lot of things when it doesn't need to. I feel like everything don't need to be politic. Especially in the medical field, when you dealing, you know, people, you need to try to save everybody as much as you can.
Right. If you could save a life, save a life. Save a life.
Yeah.
And it was just, to me, it just felt like he didn't even have any kind of, he didn't even come and, you know, he didn't even come and like deliver the news to me and everything. It was her that, like, he was using her as a liaison.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? And she was the one that was talking to me and comforting me and communicating to me, not the doctor. I can't even recall what he looked like, but it was easy for him to try to pass a message along through her,
right,
to sit there and let me transition.
Dang, man, that's oh man.
So here I am now. That was 2013. This is 12 years later. I am now the longest surviving patient that my surgeon operated on. I'm the longest surviving at this point, even 12 years later, because like I said, it's not something that has a very high survival rate.
Right.
And then now you're always kind of subject to something else happening. So I have to continue to go to Emory regularly. I was going annually, but now this is my first time going like 2 years. And they come and they still do all the CAT scans and everything to make sure everything's still intact. You know, they measure it and make sure it's not a lot of swelling and things like that. So I have to be, you know, on my meds and be real conscious of keeping my pressure down.
Yeah, I'm saying basically, like, so you basically like mostly got to keep your pressure down, watch how you eat certain things.
Yeah.
So what are some things that was like, what is, for people that don't know, what are some foods that raise blood pressure, as far as you know?
Well, for me, high blood pressure is hereditary because I have both parents with hypertension.
Yeah, I think blood pressure runs on my mama's side more. Cancer runs on my daddy's side.
Okay. But yeah, anything salty, you know, chips, fries with salt, processed foods can increase your pressure.
Like fast food restaurants and stuff like that?
Like fast food restaurants, like them chicken pot pies that we were talking about a little earlier. Sliced deli meat, high in
I ain't no sliced deli meat. I
high
know that.
in salt.
Oh, because they got the high salt in them. Gotcha.
High in salt.
So turkey, would turkey be considered one? Or
yeah.
Okay.
But you know, you just have to do the right thing. And everybody, you just have to know your status, because everyone doesn't already automatically have high blood pressure. Now, this is another thing that I learned then that I didn't know and I wasn't aware of, because at the time I was actually, you know, I was lifting a lot of heavy weights and stuff at that time too. And my surgeon said, you know, I can tell when we cut into you, you know, you pretty massive fella. He's like, you like to lift weights? I said, yes, sir. I like to try to, you know, be healthy and work out. And he said, that's where a lot of brothers go wrong. He said, because lifting weights, especially heavy weights and bench pressing, he said the average bodybuilder or weightlifter their pressure is 15 to 20 points higher than a normal person.
Because of what? Why? Because of the pressure.
Because of the strain.
The strain.
The strain. If you think
making
about
your
it,
heart pump some more.
Right. You're pushing heavy weight off of your chest.
Gotcha.
And then once you develop heavy pectorals, really now it's like I got shoulder pads on every day just resting. Right up underneath your rib cage is your heart.
Right.
So if you got 15, 20 pounds right here, that's just, even when you resting, it's
pressure on top of it. Yeah.
High blood pressure. It's pressure. When people say my pressure's up, it's pressure. So he told me to take that word and let your brothers know. He said, because he's a healthy guy, white man. He's a healthy, probably about my age, but he does a lot of running, jogging, and that kind of thing. He said, whenever I go to the gym, he said, I see all the white guys on the elliptical machines and on the treadmills and the bicycles and all that. He said, where are all the brothers at? He said, they over there lifting the heavy cast iron weights, straining and grunting.
Yeah, they do be doing that. Cause they want the look. It's the look, like you want the muscles and the cut and stuff like that. But
and he said, and what you're doing is you're shortening your lifespan. Dang. What you're doing is you're shortening your lifespan. He said, unless you making money that way, unless you're a professional football player or something, there's no need to go after just a look.
Right.
He said, if you could lift light weights and do more reps and still get the same result. And still get the same result. And so now, although I used to work out with 250, 275 pounds regularly, now I've been banned and limited. So
yeah.
He told me never lift anything over 100 pounds. So I don't. I go to the gym, I lift 80 pounds.
Yeah. Lift something. Yeah. I always try to, use my own. I try to use my own body weight and just,
calisthenics.
Yeah, like that type stuff. Push-ups and
right.
Walking, running and stuff like that, and try to stay fit for. My daddy been small, so I got his frame. I ain't gonna get no bigger.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? My metabolism, how I eat so much and stuff. But yeah, man. So bouncing back from that, I see that I think I remember this show. You had a show with Round Here Radio. With you and your wife.
Right.
Y'all had that going for a while too. Hitting Gems.
We did.
Hitting Gems. Let me change this card quick.